Hi, Zizaran here, and there is about to be a stash tab sale, so I figured I would make a video about talking a little bit about what are the best stash tabs in Path of Exile and what I recommend buying, because it is better to get them on a sale than it is to just buy them full price. So the number one end all be all stash tab in Path of Exile is the currency stash tab, and we will try to have prices on the screen as well as like full price versus the discounted price, but this is absolutely worth it. It also has a second tab for the exotic currency stuff, so very, very worth it. And things can stack to 5,000 here, and then things down here, these like anything can go in here, can stack for an additional 5,000. So if you do fill up on like transmutes or jewelers or whatever, you do have those extra there. Now, the second most valuable tab is, in my opinion, the map tab. This is pretty huge and almost mandatory. Like, you can get pretty far in Path of Exile with 4 stash tabs, but at some point, you will start to feel like the game is unplayable, and you will end up spending anywhere from like $30 to $50 and even more as you start like no-lifing the game. And it is nice that we can't buy power in the game, but stash tabs are very important. So the map tab, very, very good. You can, I think it's 72 or something of each map you can store. And yeah, very, very good. And I forgot to mention this for the currency tab, but you can right click tabs in A, make them public to trade with people, or you can turn on affinity. And the way that will work is even if I'm in a different tab, it will just automatically put them in there. And if I want to bypass affinity, I can hold control and shift while left clicking, and it will just put it in the tab that you're looking at. But yeah, the affinities and the map tab rather is really, really good. Absolutely second best. There's loads of space for like special maps, and then you have tier 16s as well. Now, when you first buy, you'll see that there's very, very few maps, for example, but once you put in your void stones, it'll just make new holes, new like slots for the maps. So eventually you'll have a bunch of more slots here that you can scroll through for tier 16s. Now, the third best tab is probably the Divination card tab. You will find a large amount of Divination cards, and it makes it so much easier to keep track of and search and everything than having it in a tab. So absolutely super worth it. Would absolutely recommend buying, and it'll show you when you have a full stack. So it's really, really easy to keep track of. A lot of people keep this public just for selling any cards they might not care about as well. Absolutely super worth it. Another thing worth mentioning, folders, while not being something you have to buy, you can just click and make a folder. So very, very good. And then you can just delete it, and very, very straightforward to use. So I have a crafting folder and a dump folder. And speaking of dump, a quad tab honestly might be the second or third most valuable as well. A little bit hard to decide which ones, but having quad tabs is really, really good. It's the same as 4 normal premium tabs. And again, you can have these, and if you can't afford or you don't want to buy other ones, you could have, for example, Delirium, Metamorph, Flasks, Gem, all in this tab. So very, very worth it. Like, for example, I don't necessarily recommend the Metamorph tab. I don't recommend the Delirium tab. Like, they're not really super worth. So, you know, maybe just store those in a quad tab. Like, look how little space I'm using on these right now as well. Essence tab. Depends a little bit on your playstyle and how much you're using. They do take up a lot of space in a normal tab, and it's very, very easy to upgrade them here. So obviously you can upgrade them normally by selling to the vendor, but this is a lot more straightforward. So Essence tab, really, really nice as well. But if you're not farming a ton of Essence and you're just buying the ones you need, then maybe not the number one you need. Fragment tab, however, even better, and this is also a really, really high priority one because most people are going to find a lot of fragments, whether you're doing bosses or whether you're using them for like scarabs for mapping. Like, it's quite a lot of value here because it's your invitations, your scarabs, your breach, and your general fragments. As you can see, a lot of tabs here. It's really good that they added this feature instead of just selling more tabs. Now, I'll go through the other tabs and we'll talk about the value of them and stuff. Like, these are obviously getting less and less priority and more just like, yes, well, I might as well. Oil tab, if you're running Blight a lot, really, really good. But honestly, not super important. You can obviously anoint anyway just by talking to Cassia. So, not a huge priority. As you can see, mine's pretty empty right now. I haven't been running a lot of Blight. Fossil tab, honestly, you do get an okay amount of fossils just by mapping and playing the game, but it's not going to overfill. So again, not a huge priority as well, but definitely worth mentioning and looking at. The unique tab, I don't know if I would get this for playing Trade League. However, for solo self-on League, this is insanely good. And the reason for that is on solo self-on, you might suddenly, like, later down the road be like, oh, I really want to play that build, but I'm missing some sort of cheap 2 chaos unique. And it's actually quite rare and I just don't have it. But I did find one earlier, but instead of banking it, I vendored it. So for solo self-on League, the unique tab is absolutely amazing. Now, the one bad thing about the unique tab, I find that sometimes I'll just drop things in here and be like, oh, I forgot I had that. And yeah, so that I actually forgot that I had that. So, you know, that can happen. Now, the gem tab, a really good thing for this is obviously we have the GCP recipe. Now, if you sell a gem that has, like, let's say I sold a bunch of gems with 16, 11, 5% quality, etc., totaling to 40%, that'll sell for a gem cutter prism, right? So because of this, it's really nice to just search for quality in the tab and just right click everything, put it in your inventory and sell everything. So honestly, I do quite like the gem tab. Flash tab, probably not necessary as well, especially if you want to save money, pretty low priority. So I think I've gone over all the custom tabs here. I hope this helps you get an idea of what to buy. Obviously, the first 3 or 4 are the most important ones. And just with $30 to $40, you can get pretty good value out of Path of Exile. So I hope you guys are having a great time. Welcome to Path of Exile. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.